Hello, book friends, and welcome back, or just welcome if you're new here. My name is Lou, and this is my channel, Literaturely Lou, where we talk about fantasy and sci fi books, except for today. This is supposed to be like my Halloween special video, although I really don't know how special it's going to be. I'm still really new to BookTube, so I just need a little grace. I was just really looking for an excuse to gab and kiki about some cosmic thriller books that I've been getting into lately and have been loving. And if there's one community that doesn't mind letting me chat about books, it's you guys. And that's why I love you guys. So I think quite a few are familiar with this genre and maybe not as new to it all as myself. So I don't think I really have to go into what a cosmic thriller is, but I will skim. So the birth of the cosmic thriller genre has been credited to H.P. Lovecraft's books, who was an author in the 1920s. The lore of his stories is the fear of the unknown. Lovecraft was talented in creating these monsters and cosmic entities that were hard to describe because they were unlike anything you'd ever seen before. So the potential of danger becomes vast, right? And that fear is somewhat psychological, even though it's not all in here, right? There's something material. There is a point of fear, but it's so obscure that the characters in his books battle with what is real and what is not. His books were a testament to his raging bigotry and his fear of otherness, but modern cosmic thrillers have built on his foundation, and these books are fun. Okay, I would definitely recommend that you guys check out some creators that expound a bit better than I can, but let's talk about some cosmic thrillers. The Library of Mount Char. I know the time is coming where I will stop talking about this book. The time very well may be now. No promises though. So in this book, the cosmic entity is known only as Father. There isn't a lot of information given about him. We don't know what he looks like. We don't even really know what he wants from his 12 children. He doesn't appear to wield any real power over the rest of civilization, but according to Carolyn, our main character, he has more dominion over the everyday unsuspecting individual than they realize. But not only people, also animals and the leader heads of their animal kingdoms, so he's the big boss. Only some characters really know the force that he is, and there are some clues and hints throughout the book that give us some idea, but it's understood that what we're seeing is only ever the tip of the iceberg. It could always be worse. He's coded to resemble another father like entity that we're more familiar with, except in the ways of grace, kindness, love. This father exacts consequences on his 12 children that are depraved in nature, beyond cruel. And he justifies his actions through the lens of molding his children to fulfill their purpose, but we never get a real understanding of what their purpose is. Each orphan gets a catalog. Our main character's catalog is language, all language, not just human language, but animals too. But another orphan has medicine, another one has time, one has death. Another very notable character, aside from Carolyn, has war, and they aren't allowed to share information on their separate catalog. The reason for that is also vague. The punishment, though, is very severe. I've said it every time that I've talked about this book, but I recommend that you check your trigger warnings. Just check them. We have essay, abuse, murder, suicide, extreme violence, just to name a few. Very gruesome scenes throughout the book, but if you can stomach it, I still think it's a really good book. The reasons why I feel like this book fits the qualifications of a cosmic thriller, though, is because nothing ever really becomes tangible. As the story progresses, you don't gain any more clarity on the scale of the conflict. And when you think that the children have a plan or a way forward, the bottom falls out and you never get a real grip on the solution. The angst will build, it holds the reader, and it's like you can't look away. However, like a cosmic thriller, as I understand them, we don't get complete resolution in the end, but it's not completely ambiguous either. We know that things aren't going to be completely okay by the end of this, but we come out somewhat victorious, I think. The end is where the book lost me a little bit. I felt like the author was trying to rein in his expansive story in a big way, but some parts felt really chaotic while other parts fell flat. Especially Steve's story. I mentioned Steve in a previous review. He is a character from Carolyn's past who becomes a pawn in her plan that appears to have little to no direction. And I'm conflicted because I loved his character when I was reading the book, but when I play it back, I'm not sure I understand what was really the point of his character. And I can't tell you if that's the beauty or the downfall. What I will say is that this author wrote a book that feels truly original and leaves you feeling unsettled and insignificant against the greater unknown, which is what a cosmic thriller is supposed to do. Okay, I will shut up about it now. My qualm with cosmic thrillers, or should I say like the snobs of the cosmic thriller genre, is the rigidity of the rules. Like what constitutes a cosmic thriller versus what doesn't. Now, I'm not saying that I found too many out there, but I know there are some people that like to debate this. And I think I get it because this genre serves a product to people that don't scare easily. You know, one of the rules being that you're not really supposed to know what the monster is. In true Lovecraftian horror, he never really says what it is that we're afraid of. He just gives you textures and smells and sounds, but never puts it in a box. Is it an octopus, an alien blob? You don't really know. You just know that it's bigger than you and it's meaner than you. And then on the other hand, I think some people just want to honor what Lovecraft created and not stray too far from it because then it becomes this whole other thing. But then again, the one thing that really great writers or founders of a genre have in common is that originality, right? It's the breaking away, taking a concept and birthing something new. Lovecraft didn't create macabre literature, but he spun that into something that people stamp his name on now. I think modern cosmic thrillers don't have to play within the parameters of his playground. And with that, I will segue into the next book that I want to highlight, Ring Shout by P. Clark. Okay? In Ring Shout, we know our monster by name. It's not a monster we've seen before, but P. Clark does put a face on it, and it's so freaking cool. Starters, if you want a book that feels like the movie The Sinners, this book is it. It's set in the Jim Crow South where there is a very present awareness of the clans. However, the plot twist here is that the clan members are not as big a threat as the Ku Klux monsters they can become. Anyway, our protagonist Maurice, along with a few side characters, hunt these Ku Kluxes, these demonic entities, using sight. To the rest of the world, these Ku Kluxes don't look like demons, but Maurice, Sadie, and Chef can see their true form, and this helps them to defeat the Ku Kluxes. From the little that I have now read from H.P. Lovecraft, these Ku Kluxes are described in true Lovecraftian fashion. You don't know for certain what the monster looks like, but you get these really gory scenes involving these creatures. It was done really well. This is the third book that I read from this author and probably my favorite, hands down. What is also true Lovecraftian horror in this is adding the element of race. I read a few of H.P. Lovecraft's books like The Call of Cthulhu and The Dunwich Horror, and I did see themes of racism, but it wasn't as dominant as it probably is in the horror at Red Hook. And I understand that the element of racism is an added layer of horror in his books. At least it is for some communities, right? But in the books that I have read that are inspired by his books, the racism is a lot more heavy handed, which is true for this one and another one that I had a lot of fun reading, The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Lavalle. This was the book that put H.P. Lovecraft on the map for me, which just makes me laugh a little because before I got into fantasy and sci fi books, I read thrillers. Thrillers were the genre that got me into reading, but I was into old man thrillers. Like, Dean Koontz was my guy, and I even liked him more than Stephen King. I know, I don't care. I still read Stephen King, I just enjoyed Dean Koontz more. Nonetheless, I didn't explore that interest too much before fantasy and sci-fi's landed in my lap and the game was changed. So I did not know of this Lovecraft fellow, nor do I know how the community found out about him. Like, did you guys read him in college? Was it word of mouth? I don't know. Point is, reading The Ballad of Black Tom led me down the rabbit hole that I'm in now. Don't save me. I'm where I want to be. I did already do a full review of this book, so I will link that down below. And knowing what I know now just has elevated this book so much more for me. I love when I can enjoy a book after I've enjoyed a book. So a junction that I passed on my way down this rabbit hole was The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Obviously, I've heard everyone talk about the fifth season, and yes, it's on my TBR. I know I want to get to it at some point, but when I found out this was her take on a cosmic thriller, I snatched this book so quickly from my library. This book took Lovecraftian horror, spun it on its head, and created something mind-bending and noteworthy. Putting aside the fact that maybe I was a little biased going into this, I am a Queens kid, the anthropomorphism of the boroughs into the characters we get, I thought was so clever and so well done. And if you're from New York City, then you understand why. Like, Bronca is the Bronx. You know what I mean? And Brooklyn is Brooklyn. And Manny being a foreigner, yeah. After reading this, I had to look up where N.K. Jemisin was from because you can't be that spot on and be that detailed unless you yourself have grown up in New York City. It was nostalgic. It made me homesick. I freaking loved it. Okay, but going back to the topic at hand, the monster in this one is also not totally obscure. But can we tuck it neatly into a box? No. And in that way, it honors the genre. But I did appreciate the way that it pulls away from true Lovecraftian horror and feels like a modern take on a cosmic thriller. So far, I've only gotten through book one of the duology, and the monster here is the woman in white, and it's not completely clear what her intentions are other than to destroy New York. but I am definitely interested to find out more, so I will be getting into book 2. And then finally, to keep the good cosmic thriller vibes going, Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff. I heard some reviewers say that this book, despite the title, was not a cosmic thriller. I decided I wanted to read it anyway, and now that I have, I beg to differ. I watched this show before I even know there was a Lovecraft Country book, and because I love the show adaptation, I knew that I would want to get into the book at some point. So I used this opportunity to do that. The summary of this book is broken down into parts that start initially with Atticus, who is a vet traveling back home to Chicago to find his missing father after he receives this like cryptic letter. He has to pass through these sundown towns where things that are built to piss you off happens, but he does make it to Chicago just to leave again, this time with his Uncle George and an old friend, Letitia. This new endeavor leads them to the Braithwaites and the Order, and then the plot arrests you. And then all these characters get their own spotlight moment in the plot that are equally arresting on their own as they are when the plot comes together. This is another one where the monster has a face, but you are treading through obscurity. I feel like the theme here is obscurity, but best believe I will be watching the show directly after filming this, because this is what I want for spooky season. I wonder if Jordan Peele also likes cosmic thrillers. Because if you think about it, like Get Out, Us, Nope, like those are cosmic thrillers. I don't know why I didn't think about that before. I feel like I have to look into that. There's got to be something there. Anyway, I have created a cosmic thriller TBR, but I also have a lot of fantasy and sci-fi books that I have been neglecting that I do need to get to. So I may take a break from cosmic thrillers for a while, but who really knows with me. Nonetheless, that's it for my first Halloween special. If you made it this far, thank you guys for hanging out with me. As always, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. And I will see you guys in the next one. Happy reading.